We are now presenting Will Ralston with SinglePoint Incorporated.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining. I appreciate you coming here to spend the time with us. I'm going to adjust this mic just a second here. Okay. My name is Will Ralston, CEO of SinglePoint Inc. We are the first listed company on the new exchange that everybody, I'm sure, is very excited to hear more information about yesterday, CBOE. Fantastic process. The exchange has done a phenomenal job making an entrance into the market, and we're excited to see their growth and additionally our growth along with that. So what are we doing? We're really focused in two markets. We're focused in the residential and small commercial solar sector, as well as the indoor air quality market. You might say, well, how does that overlay? Well, we spend 90% of our time indoors. And what do we need when we're indoors? We need power and we need clean air. I'm going to start here because on the energy side of the business, you really have to understand what we're facing in the near future here. Over the last few years, we've seen our energy prices increase over 28%. This is putting a huge damper on the families at home, the small commercial businesses, everybody that has to make that monthly payment that's going to the utilities to consume that energy that we have to stay connected with. You want to have your lights, you want to have your Wi-Fi, you keep your phone charged. These are all things that are using electricity. And if we look at over the next 5-10 years here, we're seeing that demand continue to increase. And so what are we going to do about that? How are we going to meet that demand? We're decommissioning more power plants as we speak than we're able to generate the electricity for already. Now with all the additional data centers, the rush for AI, the electrification of vehicles, there is so much energy demand coming online over the next 10 years that we're not prepared to meet at this point in time. And the way to solve for that is companies like ours that are installing solar on the residential and small commercial level. And so that's really where we're focused on the energy side of the business. We're looking at an acquisition opportunity here. We're operating in a highly fragmented market that has to stay hyper-local. The permitting engineering that goes into these businesses is a local business, but we want to give it that scale, the ability to grow. And so through acquisitions, we're looking at highly established business, market-leading companies that are driving their local markets, that have the ability to scale and expand regionally and geographically. We're looking at the people because, again, this is local. The people that are in the community, the people we want to make sure they have deep bench strength, the ability to continue, again, to grow that business and live and work within that community. And then investing locally. What I mean by that is we want to invest in these businesses, improving working capital, improving buying power, improving the back-end operations, but yet allowing them to still operate on that hyper-local model. Because, again, these are people that are living and working in their communities. There's a massive opportunity here for us in this acquisition business. There's over 10,000 solar installers across the nation. We've identified about 400 that fit within our parameters for acquisition. It's already a $52 billion market that is expected to grow 4 to 5 times over the next 5 years. On our indoor air quality side, which we'll touch on a bit more later, there's $130 billion for K through 12 schools and $350 billion allocated for commercial buildings. We've seen the ability to execute. We've proven the ability to execute in both of these business lines. Our core subsidiary, Boston Solar, has gone from $17 million in top-line revenue from the time we bought it to over $30 million in trailing 12 months. Our indoor air quality business has gone from a startup to recently winning a $5 million grant from the state of California. So we're seeing the opportunity to acquire and grow and scale these businesses organically, internally once acquired. Overall, we want to create the ability and have the ability to grow within both of these high growth industries. We've got the IRA on solar, and we have a tremendous amount of money through the government for indoor air and clean indoor air. Focusing in on solar, really only 4% of the market's been penetrated, so we have a long runway here. We've got a current market of about $52 billion that's expected to get to $223 billion by 2026. So huge growth potential. There's been significant investments into the industry driven by the Inflation Reduction Act. It's a historical bill that came through and allocated over $386 billion to climate change initiatives, including extending the tax credits for 10 years in solar and increasing them from 26% to a minimum of 30%, and continuing to drive those all the way up to 50% as we continue to see more domestic content come online. And again, driving this is not just what's coming out of people's pockets every day for their current energy consumption. It's the demand of energy, electric vehicles that are going to be charging, that are putting more strain on the grid. So it's extremely important that as our customers go solar, not only are they saving money, but they're actually securing their energy supply and ensuring that they have always on power. No, consumer, so we're serving the residential small commercial market, and the majority of our customers are purchasing for their own power procurement. There are some instances where we have offtake and customers are selling that energy back to the grid, but in 95% of our business, say a residential solar customer, they're offsetting their bill and they're consuming the energy that they create. Overall, at the end of the day, this consolidation strategy that we're working on, an acquisition strategy, is really the ability to have great local businesses such as Boston Solar, who's an established partner, the Boston Red Sox, really well built out in their community, to operate on that local model, but give them the back end and the structure and the ability to scale. Give additional working capital, more buying power, the ability to eliminate cross functionalities in order to ultimately drive more profitability to the bottom line. And so that's what this looks like from the outside. You're really coming to us and our companies as the single point of contact. The customer now no longer has to go through multiple different facilities. Our businesses are able to operate internally, and we have a vertically built company that allows the process to be more efficient, more streamlined, more profitable. And as we look for our acquisitions, it's really dual pronged, because the private to public valuation is significantly increased. So the arbitrage that we're seeing through acquisition is just a continued value add for the business and for the investors and a return on capital. We're continuing to see energy prices go up, but the cost of going solar is going down. As we see more facilities come online here in the U.S., as we bring back manufacturing, we're going to continue to see this make more sense for more customers across the U.S. And through this, we're going to be able to deploy more systems, be able to scale and grow the markets that we're currently in, because there's going to be more market opportunity for us. Now I'm going to touch on the indoor air quality section of our business. This really came about 3 years ago when we went through the pandemic. Everybody knew air quality was a problem, but it never became so top of mind as when we said, how are we going to get our kids back to school? How are we going to get our workforce back in the office? How are we going to do that safely? This is sometimes a hard part of the presentation to give, as we've all probably not left this casino hotel, and we've all been breathing this recycled air that has multiple pollutants in it. And we spend 90% of our time indoors. So it's imperative that we focus on our indoor health and the air that we're breathing, because it's dirty. It's 9 times worse than being outside. We're not getting fresh air exchanges in, which means we're sharing air. Every breath that I take is 3% of everybody else's air in this room. And it's just what we're living with in this current environment is it's a little disturbing, to say the least. But that's being changed. The federal government has come out with $121 billion for schools. We recently won a $5 million grant from the state of California. They've got $350 billion to commercial buildings, and they're starting to create regulations that ensure that buildings and schools are creating and implementing ways to have clean air coming in, but also purifying the air that's in the building. And that's really where we're focused. We have portable air cleaners that are plug and play. We ship them right to site, and they plug right into the wall, and you're creating a new safe air environment. It's really about the filtration that we use, certified HEPA. It's the tried and true method. The filters range from 3 inches to 6 inches of pleated certified HEPA. That certification is important because that means we test every single filter that leaves our manufacturing facility is warranted and tested and ensured proper filtration leaving the manufacturer. It's also an EPA certified low energy device. So we're not consuming a lot of energy, which is important in our model as we are an energy centric company as well. And additionally to this, it's simple. There's not a whole, you don't have to get into the ductworks. We don't have to replace. It's simple plug and play technology. We have a lot of value drivers and a lot of ads that are pushing the top of mind nature of both indoor air quality and solar. The biggest one that I see here that we talked a little about earlier is we are not meeting the current power needs that are upcoming in the US. And who does that leave hanging? That leaves our customers hanging because it's not going to affect the industrial side of the business because they're going to set up massive farms, solar energy, be able to buy the offtake. Really what it's going to affect is the small commercial businesses and the homeowners that are going to be paying the price of the increased energy costs because there's not enough energy. And so with us and what we're working with our small commercial businesses and homeowners for is to own your energy, secure your energy, ensure that you're locked into that rate. At the end of the day, if you could have bought your gasoline for the next 25 years, 15 years ago, you would have locked in that price. It's the exact same thing with your energy costs. They're continuing to rise, again, 28% over the last few years. And the climate, it's a massive thing. President Biden last week on Earth Day announced another $7 billion for solar energy, of which is supposed to serve about 900,000 small commercial business and residences. So there's a massive push that makes this top of mind for everybody. We've got a fantastic management team. Myself, I've been with the company for over 7 years. In 2021, I took over as CEO and really set off on this energy-centric acquisition model, going from nominal revenue of about $800,000 in 2021 up to over $30 million in trailing 12 months over that period of time. Chad Miles, very senior operator. Corey Lambrecht, who's been on the board and president CFO, has taken over 5 other companies public. And Barney Monty, who's worked in the capital markets very deep, and our deal structure really helps with M&A and continuing to build out our business. With that, I'd love to answer any questions and talk a little bit more about what you may have questions for in the energy or indoor air quality market.
Why don't people just put a filter on their HVAC?
So your HVAC system's really not made to be able to pull that type of air through. You're going to put a ton of strain on the system, and your fans simply, you're reducing the life expectancy of your system and the maintenance and the cost of actually operating that system. You're also only pulling from a certain area, so you're still recycling air to other areas of the house. Whereas with the plug-and-play system, we could put an air filter specifically used, say, in the bedroom, the living room, or in the school that has different classrooms where they're actually, in a school situation, for example, you're recycling air from every single room, and so every student, every teacher would be actually getting that same air. And our systems are there's about 16 inches of filtration in these, so you're not your typical system is not going to be able to pull that type of air through this type of filtration.
Okay, so you said that it's really $30 million
in trailing 12 months, correct? Yep. So we went from 17 million to 24 million. This year we'll be up over 26.5, and then trailing 12 months over 30.
So you're generating now much revenue.
Yes. There's a massive disconnect between our current market cap and the revenue of the business.
What about EBITDA?
Currently, we're not producing. We're not positive EBITDA at this point.
And that because
so through the acquisition, we settled out some debt that was along with the acquisition. When we purchased Boston Solar, we saw a $60 million business that had just come out of COVID that really impacted solar because we're an in-person business. Management there, which I think, in my opinion, made the right decision due to labor markets, they kept the entire team, and that dug themselves into a hole. But again, building that community, building that trust, building the ability to go back and ensure that you have a team that believes in the company was the right thing to do. So we're scaling out of that. We've eliminated in the last 90 days about $3.5 million in expenses, and that's going to start trickling through down to the bottom line over the next 6 to 9 months. So we'll get there.
you can't talk again in your How many other acquisitions like that would be done?
So I would like to have, in a year, I would like to have another 4 to 6 under our belt. Capital markets are going to drive that because there is an acquisition cost expense. And right now, you know, that the cost of capital is pretty significant. But in my opinion, you know, I would love to be, you know, up over a $250 million run rate, you know, generating positive EBITDA and sustaining the business and those acquisitions through our own cash flows. Any other questions out there? Perfect. Well, we're here all week. There's some decks around. My contact information is in there. There's some one-pagers as well. So please feel free to set up a one-on-one for tomorrow. Reach out to me directly. We'll be available the rest of the day as well. And again, thanks for spending some time with us here today.